It is the year AD 70. It has been nearly 40 years since Christ was crucified and had risen and ascended to heaven, sending the Holy Spirit to guide the disciples into all truth. Paul, the persecutor turned apostle, had been busy helping set up churches across Asia and into Europe. But now, with most of the apostles dead, except perhaps John, who had been exiled to the island of Patmos by Nero, the Jews were still trying to stamp out the fledgling movement sometimes called the Way, but now more commonly known as Christians. Some Jews called Zealots were also trying to advance their nationalistic desire for independence from Rome. The Zealots had actually gained control of Jerusalem, the Jewish capital city. Upon the Zealots' refusal to submit to Roman authority, the Romans besieged the city. The Romans made every attempt to settle the matter peacefully, even bringing in Josephus, a former Jewish general, to convince the Zealots to relinquish the city. The Zealots continued to resist, even going so far as to cause the sacrifices to cease in the temple. Finally, the Romans could no longer tolerate this impudence and moved on the city. The Zealots retreated to the temple to make their last stand. Then the worst day that has ever been or shall be came upon the Jewish world. Their beloved city and sacred temple was ablaze. History may never reveal if the fire was started by an insubordinate soldier or by the Zealots themselves, but at any rate it was the end of the Jewish age. The remaining Zealots tried to hide in the tunnels under the city, but the Romans hunted them down and quickly dispatched them. Most, if not all, of the Christians that were living in Jerusalem at the time, at the sight of the Romans surrounding Jerusalem, had already fled for the mountains and outer-lying cities. The remaining Jews were completely defeated and their city and temple razed to the ground, so that not one stone remained upon another. They had no possibility of continuing their elaborate earthly priesthood that had relied upon genealogical records. They were no longer a people. And thus was the end of one age and the beginning of another age.